Hello YouTube viewer. I'd like to begin by thanking you for choosing to watch this video, and in keeping with the instant gratification that people seem to depend on these days, I will try and keep it brief. Earlier this year we watched in awe as the people of Egypt stood together as one to end the corruption and false democracy forced upon them by the few, and demand freedom from oppression. They were tired of the big businesses set up by and working alongside their corrupt governments, taking every penny they had left and leaving them to starve. The state-controlled television broadcast scenes to the masses, showing them that everything was fine, while the police arrested and detained some of the protesters, spiriting some away and killing others. And when they did broadcast news of the protests, they tried to paint these peaceful people as terrorists that would seek to kill everyone and steal all their possessions. And they shut down the internet and mobile phone networks in an attempt to stop the truth from getting out. But they failed, and the people won. Now, although some of you might not have cared, and probably still don't, you might be surprised to learn that we, here in the free world, have more in common with those in the Middle East than you might want to believe. Our state-controlled media tells you only what your governments want you to see and hear. All over the world right now, at this very moment as you watch this, people are taking to the streets demonstrating against our corrupt governments who are firmly in the pockets of big business. Yet this has barely been mentioned on the news. In fact, they only mention it when police start to arrest these peaceful protesters, and then they make them sound like work-shy hippies controlled by Nazis that would seek to rob you of your comfy life. And thanks to the attacks on 9/11 and the London Tube bombings, the police now have the power to arrest anyone they like, call them terrorists and make them vanish for days, months, or even years, denying them access to lawyers that might get them back their right to justice. After the recent riots, our government decided that in times of crisis, they should have the power to shut down the internet and mobile networks. And finally, the banks and businesses set up by the few have taken trillions of pounds of your money, leaving you with virtually nothing. Right now, all you have left is the will to survive. But in order to do that, you need a home, electricity, heating and food. So they are driving the cost of these necessities higher, as it's the only way to keep getting money out of you. Now, as always in life, you have a choice. Do you allow them to keep taking from you all that you have left, or do you make a stand? You can continue to keep your head buried in X Factor or Strictly Come Dancing, or you can rise up. Not to steal from them as they have stolen from us, because you'll achieve nothing by kicking in the window of JD Sports or Curry's, and owning a pair of flashy trainers or a big telly will not change the future. And certainly the last thing I want to see is Bruce Forsyth in bloody high definition. What I would like to see is our children properly educated, without having to mortgage their futures for the privilege. Our sick cared for without them having to pay through the nose for the latest wonder drug that will save their lives. An end to the war, started in the name of freedom, but really to steal the resources of the countries we invade. Resources which may be valuable to us, but are totally worthless to the people we murder in order to obtain them. I'd like to see us feeding, clothing and caring for every man, woman and child in the world, which we could do many times over. I'd like to see us all working together to better ourselves and the rest of humanity. If you agree, there are many things that you can do. You can stop buying the things you don't need, which only serves to continue putting your hard-earned money into the hands of the corrupt. Take just 5 minutes out of your lives to write an email or letter to the government representative and demand that they stop listening to big business and instead start working for you, which your ridiculously high taxes actually pay them for. Rise up. Join the protests. Stand together as one. Our ancestors fought and died to fight oppression. Do them justice and refuse to live with this false freedom any longer. Demand true freedom.